Hi everyone, welcome to Millennium Computers online 5-minute tutorial series. Today's course is going to take another look at pinned reports. Now I know we've covered pinned reports quite a bit in other tutorials, but we still do get some questions. And so what I'd like to cover today is a quick recap or reintroduction to the best use of your pinned reports. What I have here is a great report in the Human Resource Reporting application. Now keep in mind, pinned reports are used in all FAST applications. So this is not restricted to just one or two. We suggest you make pinned reports just about everywhere that you run reports within FAST. Now to get this report looking the way I did, I've actually accessed my Plus More tab and the advanced options. And I did a little bit of work behind the scenes. So what I've used here is some grouping functions to calculate my employer and employee contributions as sums. And I've left the benefit code description as well as my employee information. I'm going to re-execute that report just to take a look at the data. And once the report draws, it's going to give me a pretty cool look at this particular data. So I've calculated my employee and employer contributions as sum totals, and I've got this listed now by employee and by benefit code. And obviously I can rearrange this however I'd like, right? So I'm not left with any report in its baseline formatting. I can certainly click on any of my headers. I can apply custom filters. I can choose to sort any or all of my columns in different orders. I can choose to apply an X and Y axis, and that would pertain to graphing, of course, or I could even hide additional columns. Now, once you have the report looking just the way you want it, and in this case, I've used a filter criteria of a particular employee class and a handful of deduction codes and a calendar year. Now, when you're ready, if this is a report that you're going to be running on an ongoing basis or something that you need to track on a regular basis, the best thing to do now is to save this as a pinned report. Pinned reports are especially useful if it's going to be data that you're going to need to capture on an ongoing basis and use the same filter options over and over. It's also really important if you've added a great deal of formatting, such as what we've done here. If you use your advanced options tab, if you like to use the cross-tab feature, or if you like to hide or delete or rearrange columns in the actual report output. This is going to be a huge time saver if you save these and have quick and easy access to your pinned report library right from your pinned reports tab. So let's go ahead and quickly walk through the steps of saving this by clicking the Save As button. I'm going to call this my deduction summary. And if you'd like to add a description, you can. But description obviously is an optional field here. Now, if you have permission to do so, you can certainly apply this report to a group. And you can also make this public if you have the role that grants you access to make reports public. If you don't, you're not going to see either of those options. I'm just going to go ahead and click Save. And when I click Save, selecting neither option, it just means I'm choosing to keep this report private and only I can see it and only I can run it. Now, once FAST lets me know that my report was successfully pinned, the challenge now is where do I find it and how do I run it again if I'd like to run this report on an ongoing basis? Best thing to do is going to be find your pinned reports tab. If I expand my hamburger button, you'll notice my pinned reports tab is actually designated as my default, and that means I have selected it deliberately so that anytime I hit my home button within this application, I'm going to be brought to my pinned reports tab automatically. In either case, you can just click on pinned reports. And this is going to take me to my pinned reports library within FAST Human Resource Reporting. I'm just going to minimize my tab strip for now. Now I have a couple libraries here. I have a private pinned reports library, group pinned reports library, and also a public pinned reports library. Now the group pinned reports are those pinned reports that have been saved to a group that I belong to. Public pinned reports could have been created by any administrator with the admin rights to create public pinned reports, and anyone within FastHR can see and run those reports with certain security provisions accounted for. But no one other than the person who created them have the ability to modify or delete them. If I drill down into my private pinned reports library, let's go ahead and find the report that we just created. Here it is. It's called Deduction Summary. Now, if I click on the title, it's just going to re-execute that report for me. What I'd like to do first is save this as one of my favorite pinned reports. It's just going to make it that much more accessible the next time I want to run it. This is my information bubble. It's going to show me that descriptive text that we added when we saved it. The information bubble is going to show me at any point in time when this pinned report was created and who created it if it wasn't myself, when it was last executed, and how many times it's been executed. This is a really handy tool if you start to get a pretty big and extensive pinned reports library. It's going to keep track of which pinned reports you're running the most frequently and which ones maybe you're not using as much. You can also quickly and easily execute this pinned report from your tab. You can also download this information to PDF, Excel, or XML right from your homepage, and that's going to first execute the data and pull in the most current information available into those outputs. We can also choose to email this report as a link to a colleague. And of course, if I select my favorite star and turn it yellow, it's going to place that on the top of my page with my report favorites. Now you can tag as many reports as you'd like as a favorite, and by clicking on the yellow star, it's now been selected as one of my favorites. If you ever change your mind, you can certainly click it again to take it out of your favorites library, or if you're done with the pinned report altogether, you can click delete. Just keep in mind, if it's a public or group pinned report and you were not the one who created it, you're not going to see that delete button. So that was a quick overview of how to create and save your pinned reports. We're going to cover in the next tutorial how to actually go about finding and then modifying those pinned reports if we need to for next time. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you again soon.